Welcome back to another episode of the Red Pill Cartel. I believe this is 140 now. Awesome guest today. Her name is Alicia Walker. And Alicia, how are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Awesome. And this is your very first podcast, correct?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Trying not to be nervous.
I actually found out about you through Iowa Talk Guys, I believe.
Yes, they did invite me to do an episode as well.
Awesome. Yeah, those guys are cool. I talk to TP and Eric all the time. E-Rock. We're always sharing funny stuff and conspiratorial stuff. So yeah, any friend of theirs is my friend. So welcome to the show. And
Mhm.
for those for my audience, I'm stumbling over my words right now. Tell them a little bit about who you are and what it is you do.
So I am just 35 years old. I work from home. I'm a caretaker for my husband 24/7. He's been homebound for more than 10 years, so it's been a
Wow.
struggle. And throughout my journey of trying to help him, that's how I went down this rabbit hole of health and the world stage. And, we went into the paranormal aspect and regenerative farming and homesteading. And it's just, I've been learning a lot these 2, 3 years.
Yeah. Did you before you were with your husband, did any of this kind of cross your mind at all or no?
Not at all. Not at
You
all.
were
I was
race it all.
skateboarding, listening to punk rock music, going to
Mhm.
concerts and is living it up with junk food, right?
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with concerts. I still love going to concerts. In fact, I have I'm trying to go to more local band shows, and then I'm meeting some of the artists and having them come on my show, and I'm connecting with all these different kinds of people. And so doing this show for me is just it's really fulfilling in a sense, and therapeutic. So, and anytime I get a guest on, and no matter who it is, it's always like a wild ride. So, welcome to the Red Pill Cartel.
Thank you. I started my journey off with my Instagram page, farmfresh_USA, and I just made it as like a way for me to have like a guide if people needed to know where to get food, your local farm, your local regenerative farm. And then from there, I learned about the primal diet after reading We Want to Live by Agenus Planets, and that took me down a whole rabbit hole of like Big Grill and cooking is carcinogen and carcinogenic, and found postural therapy and transcendental meditation through the Terrain Theory podcast. And it's been a wild ride. So I don't really have a specific business or anything. Just right now, my Linktree is True One Alicia, and then I have like a whole bunch of documentaries and books and everything available for free to just help spread awareness.
Cool. Well, I'll definitely put that in the show notes for the cartel to look into. Hopefully, you'll get some traffic in there. But you're just a truth seeker like I am. And, I've been a truth seeker pretty much my whole life. So I just decided to do something with it, and this is the show that I'm doing, right? So, and I get to meet all kinds of cool people and learn so much. We learn from each other, and that's what we do, right? Like if you look into the Bible, it says it's like iron sharpens iron, right? So that's what it is. I'm not a full on. I wouldn't say I'm a full on Christian. I don't like labels, right? But I do believe there's a lot of truth in the Bible. How about you? Are you religious at all, or?
Well, I was born and raised Catholic. So I went to a PSR and everything. I didn't go to a Catholic school. I did that on like Saturdays. But then me and my husband, we actually were driving down a road and it said free historical tours on the sign. And we were bored and wanted to know like the city we grew up in, Kirtland, Ohio. So we went to this historic tour and it was a Mormon church, the Latter-day Saints. So
Uh-oh.
they were so friendly, so friendly. Their smiles just brung us in. And the one lady, we were up in the Joseph Smith's School of something. But the missionary asked us if we wanted to come to church, and we were like, "Who, us?" You know, my husband turned around and was like, "Are you talking to us?" There was nobody behind us. She was talking to us. So we got invited to church, and lo and behold, a couple months later, we're baptized. But at this point, we're like hiding the fact that we smoke cigarettes or drinking. Like we're so it was just a lot to learn. And I love the people, I love the history, but there is something about there's like locked doors in their church and like only the prophet is allowed in those doors. And now learning about the regenerative farming, they have like these farms that actually provide welfare to all the poorer members of the church, or when there's an earthquake in Haiti, or relief. And they have these farms called desert farms, and I wanted to bring up to the bishop. I was like, "Do you know about regenerative farming? Like we could be helping and saving the planet." And and they like didn't even listen to me. Like, "Oh, come
Sure.
to church." Oh.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be cool to blend those worlds, but that never really happened. And there's this Instagrammer named Dana XOXO Farm Girl, and she actually does mini farm grants. It's called For Farmers Farm Grants, and they help because there's not a lot of small farm grants out there. They all want the big agriculture, right? The monocrops. And so I was just really trying to help promote, small farming and getting food at your local farm and knowing your local farmer. And so I'm currently, I guess you could say, LDS, but not practicing really.
Okay.
But it's
So
really interesting to learn their perspective and their celestial kingdom and heavens and everything.
right, right. It's interesting. It's totally interesting. I never actually turned away Mormons when they came to the door. I'd always have a discussion with them. And
Yeah,
but the problem with that is that because you're talking to them, they try to rope you into their church. And I'm like, nope, sorry. Not
I
happening.
like to have a conversation when it's more because I become like more spiritual, like realizing that we are the frequency and the energies, and I'm at that level where I'm just stepping in and learning about that, right? So if we did take away the organization part of the religion, like, and now I'm wondering, like, how does Mormons and the Jehovah Witness play into the Masonry, and like, how is it connected? And I got a lot more learning to do.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I don't like it when, honestly, I don't like when people bash Freemasonry because I do have Freemasonic friends and like they're fucking awesome people. And
Yeah,
it's like, and like him and I always say, there it doesn't matter what group there is or what company you work for or whatever community that you're in, there's always going to be a bad apple or two or three or four, right? So you can't just throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, because if this person is a Freemason, then Freemasonry is evil, right? And like my friend says, he always says, like it's a scapegoat. It's easy pickings. It's low hanging fruit to just say that the Freemasons are controlling the world and they're evil and this and that, right? So yeah, I just don't think it's right to throw the baby out with the bathwater. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this world that we just don't know. And to actually just claim that one group is completely and inherently evil, I think is wrong.
yeah. I listened to the podcast with Ryan Alexander where he had the Freemason on, and then I was also watching Wag the Dog Theory, his films that he put on that website, wagthedogtheory.com. So I'm trying to figure out how that correlates with the Illuminati and going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, no, there's so much. Like I barely go down rabbit holes anymore just because I've been down so many and it can get really dark and depressing. So I just take what I know now and if people send me a video and stuff like that, I'll kind of skim through it and be like, okay, yeah. I kind of already know that, this and that. Sometimes
That's
somebody will send me a video and I'll be like, oh shit, I didn't know that, right? But yeah, like the more that you know, the more that you realize you don't know, right? So
right. And your last episode guest That is way beyond my comprehension. But I haven't gotten through the whole episode yet. But
Tell
I
me
am
about it.
excited.
Tell me about it. I thought you having you on after that one would be a little bit more refreshing because it
Okay,
kind of
very
fucking
good.
scared me actually.
I stopped listening. I normally listen to the podcast when I'm walking my dog, right? So my husband homebound, he never leaves the house, and I was trying to figure out a way, I don't know, to get outside, right? Your circadian rhythm, your circadian health, get sunlight, fresh air, be outdoors. And my husband was like, "Oh, let's get a dog." So I got a dog, and I go outside 5 times a day now. Got some
Wow.
responsibility because we don't have a backyard. I'm in a one-bedroom apartment. So go like before work, 3 times during work, after work. I'm like, at least we get an hour or two outside, right? So
Yeah.
I'm listening to the podcast on the walk, and I stopped right where he was explaining the cell phone.
Okay.
And I always thought, like, with the EMF going into your ear and the wireless with the Bluetooth and everything, I'm like, I gotta stop listening to these podcasts, or I gotta stop using wireless headphones, you know?
Mhm.
But I'm like, well, maybe I'll learn and then I'll stop, right? Because it's like my classroom. I can't learn about it at home, um, out loud because my husband still thinks butter's bad. He still thinks we went to the moon. It's the most challenging part about having this awakening is like knowing how to talk to normal people.
Sure, sure.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want to watch your sitcoms anymore. I don't want to do this. I don't want to participate in this fake narrative. And so I'm just trying to figure out how to find that balance, you know?
Right, right, right.
Because you
You're
can't
not the
force
first.
somebody to wake up, right? You just gotta be patient and let it come to their
Sure.
terms.
Yep. It's like my dad too. It took my dad a while, but now he's like really starting to see what's going on, right? And now he's starting to listen to my podcast more, and he's like, "Holy shit!" Well, the last guest that I had on, he's like, "I don't know about that guy. He's a little out there, right?" But I told, like I said at the beginning of the episode, like try to keep an open mind for this one because it's a little out there, right? But and my brother my brother actually texted me, he's like, fuck that shit, man. That's fucking crazy shit, you know?
That's
But
a good way to be. They said, I think the IO guy is saying like you just put it out there, and then the people you find people to communicate with.
exactly. And I mean, it's gonna be hit or miss. Like not every episode that I have is awesome, right? But it's just like he said, put it out there, see what happens, right? But yeah, I'm just gonna keep doing it because, you know, this kid could have been crazy or he could be autistic or he might be onto something. I don't know, you know? But I like to use my platform for everybody to have a chance to speak out. This isn't a podcast where I'm going to have like famous people on just for the sake of making my podcast big. I want people to speak their mind. I want regular, everyday people to be able to come and share their stories.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Um, I totally gapped on the documents that you sent me. Iowa Talk guys told me this person is going to send you documents. What was it that you sent me? I forget.
I don't know if that's what they were referring to, but started a book club after I read "We Want to Live" by Agenis Vonderplanitz and just found out like you don't you don't have to cook your food. Like I just didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know steak tartare was a thing, beef carpaccio. I realized sushi, of course, but it's just I started a book club. There's over 100 people now, doctors, homesteaders, farmers, teachers, everyone's getting involved. And I just wanted to like have a conversation about it. Like, is this guy nuts? Is this guy legit? Or
Right.
he even has a conspiracy death. I mean, he passed away, I think it was 2013, and people think, it was to kill him or murder him, FBI or whatever, underground, just so that he couldn't spread the word anymore. He was even an actor on General Hospital. I want to go back and watch those
Oh,
episodes
really?
forever. Yeah, and he is the reason that raw milk is legal in California. He helped all the herd shares come in all the other states. So he's a very interesting man, lived a very interesting life. He had cancer and cured it. Um, and just realizing, like with Ryan Alexander, you can live a pain-free life. It's possible. And like, who would have thought that? I thought you just were supposed to be in aches and pains when you got older, hitting
Yeah,
30,
right.
40.
Yeah. No, there's
So it might have been that document. That might have been the Google Drive that I sent you with video
yeah.
recipes, too, a whole bunch of Q&As.
Okay. Initially, I thought it was because people have been sending me the Epstein documents, right? And I was thought
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
that's what it was. But I'll definitely look at that again. But
It's out there, but I know you got an open mind, you
yeah,
know.
for sure, for sure.
And I
Um,
used to think, like, what would we eat before fire? I guess we ate
yeah,
something.
yeah, and there's like
And I was born 3 months early with, I think it's called Moebius syndrome. It's Moebius. Now, back in 1988, when I was born, they called it a left nerve deficiency. But my left eye doesn't close. My lip isn't like symmetrical. I can't hear out of my left eye. And I just always assumed that it was because my mom, she had uncontrollable epilepsy. So she was taking all these drugs, Keppra, Lamictal, and all these pills. And I just wanted out, right? Like, get me out of this toxic environment. And
yeah,
she could never breastfeed me, right? So I just always felt like I have a hard time expressing what I want to say, or like people get offended if I say something. I don't mean it in a bad way. It just might not come out right. So my communication skills, I need to work. I don't know. Something always felt a little off. And with the social media and trying to raise awareness, there's this author who wrote the book Spilled Milk, Kelly L. Randis, and like she got diagnosed with cancer, and I was trying to spread like Dr. Reese to her and Agenus Founder Planets, to spread an awareness, and she blocked me. And I just like, what am I doing wrong here? How am I not social mediaing well? My husband's like, you don't know how to Instagram, you don't know how to Facebook.
did you say she blocked you?
Yeah.
Why?
Now, granted, I sent her like a couple different things, throughout the years because the chemo gave her, maybe she was offended by me sending her health stuff. I mean,
Okay,
I don't know why. She didn't say why. But I really wanted to, I thought her life mattered. I really wanted to help or, even if you don't use the information or believe it, at least I did my part to try to help, right?
right,
So she would be maybe not complaining, but talking about how her teeth were falling out and like decaying from the chemotherapy. So then I sent her like some quantum dentistry and holistic dentistry, stuff. And I was like, I don't know, she blocked me. So I told Peace Over Pain, I was like, try and get in touch with her because I'm blocked.
that's funny. Because it's happened to me before, but I have this tendency to approach people if I see something like, say, like for example, I saw this one lady. It was at a EB Games store, and she was working there, and she had really bad eczema on her arms, right? And I have this habit of like, if I see something on someone, I'm like, "Oh, have you tried?" I said, "I don't want to sound like rude or anything, but have you tried coconut oil for your eczema?" Right? And as soon as I said that, she just kind of like she shut down, and I was
Like
like, "Oh,
offended,
shit."
kind of.
Yeah. And I'm like, "Fuck, sorry, I'm just trying to help out here, right?" But you know,
Like, how do
'cause-
you spread awareness by also being considerate that maybe they don't want to hear it? Or,
oh.
I don't know. It's such a gray line.
But she was like, I think she was super offended, and I just kind of shut up after that. I was like, "Okay, you
Sure,
don't want to hear
sure.
it, that's fine." But I had what's it called? Psoriasis on my nose.
Oh, well.
And like I tried pharmaceuticals first, right? Like the doctor gave me what was called Metro Gel. So I put the Metro Gel on, and all it really did was highlight my psoriasis. Like, look at me, I got psoriasis, right? It was like looked worse than it did before I put it on. But the next day it kind of cleared up a bit, but then it just kept coming back. And I was like, you know what? Just out of the blue, I didn't research it or anything, but I just threw coconut oil on it for like 2 weeks every day, and I haven't had it back since. And that was
That
like
is
10
amazing.
years. Yeah. And
Now,
I
my
told
mom
I told my
actually,
buddy at work the other day, he's getting it on his face too. And I said, dude, coconut oil, man, trust me. He's like, yeah, yeah. And he listened, right? So I don't know if he tried it or not, but yeah, that's definitely a good thing. But the thing you got to keep in mind too is that what works for one person might not work for another person.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All of our bodies are different, blood types are different.
Yeah. Even for
Now,
me,
one
like
thing
I have
about that coconut oil, my mom actually got her seizures to lessen with that. She's still taking medication, but she was taking coconut oil and then switched to the MCT oil, and it helps her a lot.
for seizures.
Yeah,
Really?
because your brain needs the. I mean, does coconut oil have cholesterol in it? Maybe not. I don't know.
I have no idea,
I
honestly.
know that like your brain needs the cholesterol, right? The fat, the protein. But something about that coconut oil did lessen her seizures. And she's been doing it for like 10 years now.
Wow. Yeah, I think coconut oil is a very diverse kind of thing for health. Does a lot of different things. Like even
Absolutely.
for regrowing your hair, or like if you have thinning hair, just slap that shit on your head, good to go.
Oh, awesome. Oh, that's
What
my
other
head.
things have you discovered? Like have you had any kind of health issues that you've kind of
I'm still
improved
struggling.
with?
So that's what I'm working on. Since I read that book and went down the health rabbit hole of like learning about quantum and just circadian rhythm, like being outside, eating locally and seasonally, I've been about maybe 90% on point. You know, I'm still occasionally, if I don't buy it, I don't eat it, right? But like I broke down one time, I bought Dr. Pepper and some Doritos. You know, I'm not there yet. What do you got? Oh gosh, those look delicious.
Uh, I have a weakness for Doritos.
Right?
I try not to eat it so often, but it's so fucking good.
What I'm really trying to work on is my temper. I have like intermittent explosive disorder. I just
Oh,
get extremely either angry or frustrated or cryy. Like it's just extreme emotional when I'm stressed. You know, and it could be as simple as like, you know, taking the dog out for a walk or getting, toilet paper. Like I don't know what it is. Just something like maybe I'm multitasking, just too much stress and boom. So I actually take Celexa 40 milligrams a day. And for 6 months, I tried to wean myself off to 20 milligrams a day. And I was having these temper tantrums daily. And and it doesn't help my husband's anxiety. You know, he's
I
homebound
bet.
for disorder, and it just even the dog is terrified of me. You know what I mean? Like I've tried to stop punching holes in walls, right? Just breathe, take deep breath. You know, I'm trying to do the meditation and mindfulness. Like I don't know what is gonna help, but I was like, okay, why don't we just start somewhere? I couldn't do the primal diet perfect because I wanted my Doritos or wanted a cooked steak, right? So I'm like, why don't we just try to stop eating processed foods, right? But then, I have a ballpark hot dog. Like that's processed. Like I'm not there yet,
Yeah, yeah.
but I'm trying to like start somewhere, pinpoint it. Maybe if you just don't eat sugar, it won't make me emotional. Or I don't know, but I want to work with Dr. Wallach. I want to work with Peace Over Pain Clinic, and I want to try and fix this because I don't want to just up the medication, right? Like
Right.
an apple for our eye. How many bad things do we hear about them? It would be nice to get off of it one day.
Yeah, thankfully I'm only on like what is it? Two medications. That's it.
Good. Okay.
Uh
Yeah, I stopped the birth control
when
about
it
a year ago.
when it comes to antibiotics, it's either the vaccines that I've had when I was a kid that threw off my gut health, or it was being on a lot of antibiotics, which I think kills your gut flora and totally fucks up your immune system. And like, for the short term, it's good, but I try to avoid antibiotics whenever I can because that shit just I don't think it's very good at all.
Absolutely. So that's the only thing that I'm really like. If I went down my health journey, it's just to get my emotions in check or to
Mhm.
figure out what the root cause of the mental illness is. Like I never really felt depressed or I never really felt anxiety. I like to go, 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 and then when you're done for the night, you're done. You're down for the count. But my brain's like always going 100 miles an hour, and it's not like I was diagnosed with ADD or ADHD. I wasn't diagnosed with autism or anything like that. It just have temper tantrums, I guess.
Yeah, bipolar
And adult
maybe.
temper tantrums, that's weird. Yeah, maybe. Right in that
Um,
high.
like I met people who were bipolar, and it's like I don't know, man. Like maybe being diagnosed with bipolar is just like some kind of a excuse or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
Like
what I didn't want. Like I'm an adult,
another
I should not be
excuse,
throwing a temper tantrum, right?
another
Handle
excuse
yourself.
to give you medication, right? Like instead of working on yourself naturally.
Yeah. Have you heard of the Terrain Theory podcast?
I haven't heard of the podcast, but I do know what terrain theory is.
Okay, I found these guys. They're a musician. Well, I think one of them's a musician, but they made the Terrain Theory podcast just to talk about, stuff like us. And they had this guest on, Chris Alvarez, and he was talking about transcendental meditation. I guess it's like a specific meditation. And I'm really interested in how that works. And I'm going to be working with somebody January this month to try and see if that can help a little bit.
That's cool. I mean, I've never really got into meditation. I have had astral projection experiences, which I believe is a form of meditation, but it just came on like accidentally, you know? It's not like I tried.
Oh,
Sorry?
so you didn't practice it? It just kind of
No.
the experience happened?
No, it just happened. And it's happened several times actually. My friend Julia tells me I'm an experiencer. She's like, you don't like try to like do anything, but you have these experiences where things just happen to you spiritually without practice. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much how it is.
Wow. Brings us back to the paranormal stuff a little bit, huh?
Well, yeah, that's like all of that is a part of my journey, right? Like my first astral projection was when I was 13 years old, and Julia said, "Holy shit, like that's really young to have an experience like that." But
I
that's
think
like
I
part
just
of
learned
the
about that at 13. I did Taekwondo martial arts for 5 years, and there was this one lady who was trying to tell me that we can travel without going anywhere. Like, I don't know
Mhm.
if it was time, maybe astral travel. And I could not wrap my head around it. I was laying there in bed and trying to do what she told me to do, and like I was like, maybe she's crazy. But now, in 2024, right? I'm like, I think she was on something.
Sure. I mean, that's the thing when it comes to anything spiritual. You have to experience it yourself. Otherwise, you could try and try and try until you're blue in the face, but you're not going to experience it. And like Julie said, you're like, I'm an experiencer. Like, I don't even try and shit happens to me, right? So, but you hear people talking about these things and it's like, what are you, crazy? You know? But until you experience it yourself, then you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. This person said that to me years ago. Now I understand it.
All makes sense now.
Yeah, it's
So I
wild.
met my husband in 2006. We got married 2007, baptized Mormon. And then you remember around, it was for like a long time, 2008, 10, the ghost hunters and everyone going ghost hunting. So we created this KPRS, the Kirtland Paranormal Research Society. And I was just so into the history. Like, what is going on in this town? They had a murder of the Avery family where there's different parts of the Mormon church. There's the Latter-day Saints, there's the reorganized Church of Latter-day Saints, which is the Community of Christ, and then there's the Fundamentalist, which like practices the polygamy. So when Joseph Smith died, his wife, Emma Smith, started the Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, so the RLDS. And in Kirtland, there's this main road 306, and the one church is just regular LDS, and then the next one, maybe 500 feet away, is the RLDS. So in that church, Jeffrey, not Epstein, Lundgren, Jeffrey Lundgren. he
I said not Epstein because I was like, Epstein?
and he was embezzling like church funds, and then so they kicked him out of the reorganized church,
Oh,
and
okay.
then he started his own like cult about maybe a mile up the road. And me and my husband had the chance to go to that farmhouse, and he dug a hole in the barn and buried the 5 bodies, the Avery family, and then eventually he got busted, and he was put to death. The lethal injection
Okay.
years ago, at least probably 10 years ago by now. But that's kind of what started us down our thing, like what's going on with the history of Kirtland? Let's figure out, let's go to these graves. And we had the chance to go see the hole, and the owner of the property was like, you better go get a flashlight. So we drove down to our local dairy mart to go get flashlights, right? And we went back to this barn, and we were about to go in there and see this hole where they were buried, right? And the person who invited us was a visitor of the property, I guess. So then when we went back, the owner of the property was there. I was like, get off my property. You know, he doesn't live here. He doesn't know what you're talking about. So we were so close. But it was just, it led us to, Gravity Hill and the witch's grave and just finding all these cool things in Lake County, Ohio.
Are you're in Ohio? Okay, okay.
Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
So when we would go ghost hunting, we would test out these urban legends, just to see if they were real or whatnot. And I remember one time, when we were testing out Crybaby Bridge, like we heard all these cries and everything exactly at midnight. And we're like, there's no way that that's real. It has to be coyotes. I was like calling the local, wildlife, whatever, like, is there coyotes in the area? Could they be crying? And then a couple times that I was talking to you about earlier, like we see like I don't know if it was an orb, but we weren't smoking cigarettes. It wasn't cold out, but you could just see like this gray mass, I guess you would say. And then we also seen like an orange glowing tree. It wasn't the whole tree. It was just a little middle part of the tree, not the top, not the bottom. But so we definitely experienced like things that I couldn't explain, and
Yeah.
very interesting.
Anything growing up, like before that? Like any paranormal things in your life that you had experienced like as a child or anything? Because I think children are more susceptible to these experiences.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I don't think so off the top of my head or anything. I just remember I always hated scary movies, like I'd be terrified after watching it or something.
Oh, really?
Oh gosh, terrified. Even Wizard of Oz scared me. Those flying monkeys. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
I think that will scare anybody. You heard about the Pink Floyd um shit, Dark Side of the Moon, how it syncs in tune with the flying monkey scene in the Wizard of Oz.
Oh.
Like the
No, I
whole
haven't gone on yet.
album actually like does this weird synchronicity with it. And I think it was Roger Waters who, because a lot of people discovered this. And when it went back to Roger Waters, he said we had absolutely no intent for that to happen, but it's a weird synchronicity.
Did you say the name of the album, or was it a song?
Dark Side of the Moon, the album.
Okay, I'm writing it down.
Yeah, it's really
It took me a
strange.
long time to wrap my head around 9/11. Like I refuse to believe, that we could do that, right? So I think it was just about 2 years ago that I finally accepted. 9/11 was an inside job, and even the NASA with the flat Earth. Like I couldn't wrap my head around it for the longest time, no matter how many things I'd see. And I finally watched the film Level with Me, and it
Mhm.
all made sense. I was like, okay, I finally get it. It's broken down enough. And my
Yeah, I did
husband
watch
was in
that too.
school when the Challenger, went down, and he was one of those kids in the classrooms. I
Yeah,
don't really remember. I remember 9/11 in school. I don't remember the Challenger.
I remember, I think I was in grade 3 when the Challenger exploded.
Okay.
And yeah, they pulled out the TV on wheels and showed everybody. And I was like, whoa, right? And now you know about that theory that the astronauts are still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen videos of people approaching one of them and they were like no comment kind of thing, right?
Right.
And they like the resemblance is uncanny of these people. And the names are I don't even think their names are changed. They still go by the same names, but they have
Yeah.
like
And
different
it makes
jobs.
me think about their family. Like, did their family grieve or was their family in on? Like, I
Yeah,
don't know how deep that goes.
it's so strange. Like why all the lies, It's like it's crazy. Like, is space real? Like, I'm questioning all that now, right? And then, like, it's not about if it is or if it isn't. It's just about keeping an open mind to the fact that it could be one or the other, and
Right.
not get so angry when somebody asks you, "What do you believe?" I say, "I don't know what to believe anymore." I don't believe that the Earth is either round or flat. I believe it could be either or,
Right, both. In
right?
in the
I'm just
middle.
the fact that it could be either one. Because a lot of like people know that I have a podcast and I've been questioned by people. Oh, you actually believe the shit you talk about? I'm like, it's not about believing, it's about having an open mind, so I'm not so fucking surprised when I find out the truth.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's all about when it comes down to it. Because people I think having an open mind allows me to be more of a accepting person of everybody instead of dividing people, right?
Yeah. So I was one of those persons. I was watching like every 9/11 documentary and trying to keep track because every channel had a different one, right? So I was keeping track of all of those. And then when I finally realized that it might have been an inside job, I was like, I wasted all this paper on these like fake documentaries, right? These fake victims that I cried over for hours. Now I'm sure that I know that there was lots of victims, especially with the dust
There
and
were
the
there were
ash.
deaths. There were deaths, yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
that's one thing that people get so mad about is that like if you say like, oh, Sandy Hook was a hoax, the mass shooting, right? And if you say something like that, it offends people because of the amount of deaths that happened. And it's like, I'm not saying nobody died. I'm just saying it could
it
have
wasn't
been like planned
coordinated.
out, right? Or like the
Yeah.
shooters could have been MK Ultra, like mind control, right? Not saying and
I'm
like
watching the
of
documentary
course I
on
don't of
now.
course I don't mean any disrespect to any of the families that grieve the deaths, but it could have been a deliberate thing where, these kids who shoot up these schools, I don't think they're just doing it because they were bullied or whatever. I think there's something more to it, right?
Possibly. Yeah.
Because I got bullied when I was a kid, but I didn't even fathom the thought of going in with a fucking shotgun or an assault rifle. Like,
I know. I'm only 4'8", so I was like small fry, and you don't even have to get on your knees and all sorts of fun stuff.
yeah, it's just
And it's
nuts.
funny, the one person from high school who would pick on me, I'm pretty sure it's in a joking way, or maybe just to be cool. But he actually is chicken daddy, and he started the homestead with chickens. And so that's how I got into the regenerative farming. From finding how he got chickens, I was like, oh. And my grandpa raised chickens as a kid.
Nice.
You know, so, oh,
Can you can
everything's
you uh can you describe what regenerative farming is?
yeah. So typical farming, let's say your agriculture, it's industrialized. It seems like it's industrialized. I'm not very good with my words. So I'm gonna do my best. But you know, like Smithfield and the big conglomerates, they might feed the pigs plastic, or they're feeding them grains, or none of their natural diet. So I found that regenerative farming, it's no till typically. You're not causing erosion and making the land bare. So you're working with nature instead of against nature.
Okay.
So um there's typically no pesticides, right? Typically no herbicides or nothing like that. So, when you don't have a crop to grow, instead of leaving the soil bare, you'll plant cover crops. And then you're also rotating the livestock so that they're not always in one barn in one area pooping and peeing and making a mess. Rotational grazing, you're separating the pastures, and they could spend so much time here in this grass and then move on to the next pasture. And then the pasture that they were just at, that rests, and all the nutrients from the poop and the pee soaks in the soil. So like when Ryan Alexander was saying how our soils are all depleted of nutrients, we could get that back by rotational grazing. I'm sure I'm missing stuff, but you can Google let me think.
It's basically just a more natural way of farming as opposed to having all these chemicals and shit
Yeah,
like
like
that.
I'm pretty sure my grandpa has no idea about this because like I'm so sorry, my throat. I wanted to teach him. I was like, did you know that we could do this or we could do this and it'll help the soil? And because his Christmas trees, the reason it failed was because they all got diseases and died, and he just couldn't keep up with it anymore.
Right.
I got my pet milk.
Is that raw milk?
Yeah.
Oh man. There you go. Bottoms up.
Yeah. I'm so sorry for my throat.
That's okay. It happens.
So there's a website if you need to know where to find raw milk. It's realmilk.com. And in Ohio, you can't sell raw milk, so it's pet milk. So I'm drinking
Isn't
some
that
pet
isn't
milk.
that crazy that it's outlawed?
I've seen this one little joke or meme or whatever they're called, um, where they can't figure out how to keep fentanyl off the streets, but they got, the raw milk covered. Because there was
Right.
just the farm that I get my stuff from, uh, um, Amos Miller's Organic Farm in Pennsylvania. They got raided for the second time. I'm like, where am I going to get my food?
It's crazy.
And that's what Agenus did. He created those private membership clubs where like you could be a part of that and get your food without the FDA regulations. But they're cracking, I don't know if they're cracking down on them, but they keep raiding them. Even though like it's legal and you can fight it with a lawyer, somehow they keep taking all of his food.
It's nuts. Like I don't see well, I do see why they do it because they don't want us being healthy, but it's just
Is everything about money? Is the NASA about money? Is the raw milk about money? Like everything just boils down to money? Big pharma money?
for them to get richer, for us to get poorer, and for us to be unhealthier. That's basically
As
what
I
it is.
live in the woods. There's some
And
woods behind my apartment complex. So I'm like, oh, let's just go live in the woods.
yeah, seriously, like a lot of people are getting off grid because they see what's happening, they see what's coming in the future, and it's just I don't know, man. It's crazy out there, and I'm smack dab in the middle of a city talking about
What
all this
state are you
stuff.
in? I forget.
What's that?
What state are you in? I forget.
I'm up in Canada, near Toronto.
Canada. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you in Ontario?
Mhm.
If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, I'm in Ontario.
So I have family in Toronto. Um, my mom's grandpa's dad migrated from Italy, and I think they went there in the 50s, 1950s. And he grew chickens, and he made his own wine. That Italian red wine where you're smashing
Nice.
grapes with your like those have been passed down to my grandpa and my mom. I mean, my mom's not smashing grapes with her feet, but she's buying the grape juice to make a wine. But it's so cool. Like I can remember going to Canada every year before you needed the passport.
Right.
Um, I loved it up there.
I think you're about like an 8 hour drive from
I
Cleveland to
don't think
Toronto.
no, I guess it'd be longer than that. Because we went up the Pennsylvania and New York way.
Right.
I wanted to go to New York City so bad as a kid. You know where my dad finally took me when I begged, please let's go, because I was watching Friends, right? My dream job was 9 to 5 in an office. And I want to go to New York City. I want to see Carson Daly, right? He took me to Buffalo, New York.
Oh,
It was
that's
right
like
off the edge. Like, oh, oh.
we call Buffalo the armpit of America.
I wanted to go to New York City. I went to the armpit.
I remember the last time I went to Buffalo was probably 2000,
There's
year
like a fruit
2000.
belt. Like I remember seeing like Orange
Yeah,
Street
just
and
the
Grape Street,
Niagara Fruit
Apple
Belt.
Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we went. So since I've been an adult, I haven't been to Canada because I never got a passport.
Right. It takes a while to get one. But
My
yeah,
family.
we have the Niagara Fruit Belt, and it's beautiful. Like they have what's called the Winona Peach Festival every year. And it's like
Oh,
this massive market and fair kind of thing, and in this small little town called Winona, right? And everything is like they have like the peach ice cream, peach juice, peach this, peach that. They have a lot of
oh wow.
vendors, and it's really nice. But yeah, but I love going to Niagara. Niagara Falls is beautiful. I love it.
In Kirtland, Ohio, by Cleveland, we had the Strawberry Festival. So everything was
Ooh,
strawberries. That's pretty cool. Let's go to the peach thing.
nice. Yeah, I love strawberries,
There's
peaches, all that stuff.
I remember Dr. Anthony Chafee just interviewed a carnivore who was a carnivore for 65 years, Maggie White, and she owns a ranch in Canada. And they're having a really hard time right now. I don't know if it's like the Canadians are taking their land. I can't fully comprehend it yet, but she's really struggling trying to keep her farmland.
Why?
Um, If you go on Instagram or YouTube, it's Dr. Anthony Chafee, Chaffee, and then the rancher is Maggie White. Can't remember what the farm. I don't think she names the name of the farm. Oh, is it something about the minerals? Like they own the minerals and you own the land?
Really?
I don't know. She keeps having to try to like just fight for her property. That
Right.
she's been farming for hundreds of years. It's been in her family.
And they want to take it.
Yeah, I screen recorded a couple of the clips that I like, just like when I recorded your podcast clips. And so it is, you'll find it in my Linktree on my YouTube channel. I'll probably link you there, or maybe just
Okay.
Google Maggie White. But I can't remember the whole story, but I know that she's just struggling trying to keep her farm. And I know I seen the German farmers, protesting. That's very.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Right now they are. Yeah. I saw something where they had lights and the camera pulled back and up. It was like a drone shot, and they created this message in the lights. So when you
no
pull,
way.
yeah, yeah, I forget what it said, like leave us alone or something like that. It's pretty wild.
Or here, Canadian farmers truckers protest. That was really big too. I don't know if America would ever unite like that. Like or I don't know. I don't know. I can't imagine like Martin Luther King Days today, right? Like, how did he get all of those people to march to Washington? How did he make a difference?
To
I don't
Ottawa, the Freedom Convoy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
got. I don't know if it made a difference, but it made the news.
Yeah, oh, for sure. It divided a lot of people because a lot of people, even in my family, were like listening more to Justin Trudeau saying that they were all they're a bunch of Nazis and this and that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? There was like two people. One had a Confederate flag and one had a Nazi flag. Two people out of the whole, like how many people that were there, I don't know. But it's like my some of my family bought into that. And they even like my dad was like pro freedom convoy and he posted on Facebook, I'm I'm what do you call it, rooting for the freedom convoy. And then my niece was like posting on it, I can't believe you sided with those Nazis. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, dude?
There's no way to unite if we see different truths. You know what I
I
mean? Like
know.
they believe, and it's so emotional.
You can't believe anything the media says, the mainstream media. Like
Yeah.
we are now the news. We are the news now, because we're not, they're making money and they're being paid to tell a narrative to the masses, which is the side of Satan, basically, right? The oppressors. And we, the people, are standing up against that. And we're now the news. But
Now, when you say Satan, um, should my brain go to the Illuminati, or there's a difference, and that's what you're saying? Like, I'm not trying to say masonry is bad because I just learned it. Like, I don't know anything. Um, but when you say Satan, is there another word? Like, should I think Illuminati, or is that wrong?
when I say Satan, I mean the oppressor and the accuser. So
Okay.
that's basically what it means. It's not like this man with horns and fucking a tail and shit, a pitchfork, right? It's
Yeah.
those who want to control us and oppress us and rule over us, essentially.
You think there's like the Elite 30 or 300? I think it was like
Oh
Committee of
God, I,
300.
I I couldn't tell you a number. Who knows? But a lot of people call them the 1%.
1%. Okay.
Yeah, it's the 1% who is trying to control all of us, and all of us are starting to realize that there is a group who are conspiring and trying to oppress us, right? And it's always been that way. It's always been that way. But they were better at hiding back in the day because now we're catching on to what they do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm currently watching MK Ultra documentary and then the light bulb conspiracy. Um, with the light bulb conspiracy, because I keep trying to get my husband to switch to incandescent bulbs, right? I'm like, stop buying LED. He's switching. We got smart plugs, we got Alexa, we got everything. I'm being radiated in my home.
Right.
But so I'm learning about this, and they just did it with everything: cars, clothes. Build it to break. They
Yeah.
had to build it to break to make money. And they were saying like they built nylon. It pulled like a tractor. I can't imagine that they literally had to go back to the drawing board and make the nylon thinner and weaker.
Right.
I can't believe I'm like, okay, we gotta go to these thrift stores and find some light bulb from 1900s.
Yeah, because they burn forever, right?
Yeah, it said it was a 4-watt bulb. Now, 4 watt, that wouldn't give you a lot of light, right? So maybe it isn't a good idea. Because I'm trying to convince my husband that incandescence is better than LED, right? And he's like,
Right.
how? LEDs save money, they last longer. I'm like, no, 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 no. And I don't have any proof because the incandescent light bulbs, they did break after 1,000 hours, right? Like
Right.
in the 1960s and up, you know. So I think it was like it's still burning to this day, that 4 watt light bulb. Hmm.
Yeah.
So much cooler.
And everybody's switching to LEDs now. They do it with
And
everything. Or like you said.
he finally bought me an incandescent light bulb, right? I have it right over here, and then he plugged it into a smart switch. And I was like, well, I think that breaks the point of it being not LED.
Yeah.
So I threw a temper tantrum, and we took the smart switch away.
Yes, but they do. I just talked to my dad about this the other day. I'm like, yeah, cell phones, cell phone batteries, appliances, cars, what else? Like you said, they make it to break it so that the money train keeps rolling, right? Like my battery when I first got the phone was amazing. I didn't have to charge it for like 3 days. And now I got to charge it like twice a day, right? Like I'm sure the technology is there that you don't have to do that, but they don't want us to have it. They probably
Yeah,
use
we're
it.
not gonna go in and finesse and figure it out.
Mhm. Like, yay, I got my car paid off finally. And then the engine
And
shuts down a year, like half a year later, right? I got to get a new fucking car. It's horseshit.
our car, I had a 2006 Ford Focus, and it would just sit in the parking lot for 2 years. It just sat there because we literally don't go anywhere. You know, like my husband struggles being alone, and I've tried to get like the nurse to come in or whatnot, but it's he doesn't know that person. And trust that person. Like there's a whole thing. It's not easy. So we've just adapted to everything's delivered. Groceries are delivered. Prescriptions are delivered. You know, um, I even had my taxes. Like you could just figure everything out now. I guess that's a blessing from COVID. I don't know. It made life at home easier, because it was a lot harder before Instacart.
Right, right. And I think that is part of the whole agenda too, is to make us not want to go out anymore, you know?
Oh, the
Leave us in
15
our own
minutes.
little bubbles. And I don't know if you know about the 15-minute cities, right? That
Yeah.
kind of thing. And that's shut down all the mom and pop stores so that the Amazons and the Costco's can be, monopolizing everything. And then you have Instacart. My dad is disabled too. And I would do all the shopping and everything. But like for me, it's hectic because like I got to do all that for him. And then I taught him about Instacart. Now he's like addicted to Instacart and Amazon, right? So it's like,
Wonderful. Now, I actually, 2022, I stopped buying food for myself at the grocery store. I just literally went to the source. I got to know my local farmers, and there's actually this cool app that's called Market Wagon because I couldn't get out to the farmers markets, right? How am I going to meet a farmer? Well, I found one online finally. Market Wagon, and I'm able to get everything from the farmer. There's like probably 2,000 farmers just in Northeast Ohio that I can order from, and they deliver like every Thursday, you know. And so I was finding that, and then I was finding the non-toxic soaps, and because I went like shampoo free for a year too, the whole no poo method. That really drove my husband nuts. He's like, your hair stinks. I'm like, but I'm washing it with eggs.
with eggs?
Yes, apparently, all Saladino, I don't know. But apparently you can wash your hair with eggs and it's just like the natural shampoo. But it doesn't have that fragrance. Like, okay, the reason why I got on this whole non-toxic thing, I watched Not So Pretty documentary on HBO. They also have like Stink and other ones. But the fragrance in the laundry soap, the fragrance in the body wash, the fragrance, there's just thousands of chemicals that they don't even have to tell us because it's a trade secret, right? So that's why they're not regulated by the FDA because it's a trade secret. But you can use like apple cider vinegar and eggs and whatever. It gets weird. So I'm back to using shampoo because I did buy a whole bunch of shampoo before I started on this non-toxic journey. So I'm just trying to meet them in the middle. I'm
Right.
not trying to go overboard and be too wacko and stressed out.
Yeah, don't
And
go overboard
also,
because honestly, you're never gonna know everything. And like you can only do so much, right? Like I
I'm
get
trying
Dr.
to
Squatch now. I get Dr. Squatch for my deodorant and
perfect. Does
my
that have a name
soap.
in a minute or no?
No.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Cause I even tried the non-toxic deodorants and stuff without the antiperspirant, and I'm sweaty. I stink. I stink. In my armpits like every 2 hours. And this is not working. So temporarily, I'm back on the antiperspirant, and I'm just gonna try to find a happy middle.
See, the
Cause then trying to be
antiperspirant for my armpits, I forget it. Like it's just like if I put that shit on, I'm scratching, scratching, scratching. Like it's so
itchy.
itchy. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
crazy. But the Dr.
So I never
Squatch, I have
had
no
any bad
problem with it.
effects. Oh, good. I'm gonna try that. I never had no effects. I just didn't want to pay for cancer. I watched a documentary. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, they're not getting any more of my money. I'm not buying that soap. I'm not buying Dawn. I'm not buying. You're not getting my money. I'm not paying for cancer. So I had to find alternative products, right? My husband can't stand the smell of half of those products. Tallow. He's like, you smell like cooking oil. I'm like, I know. It's beef fat. That whole tallow lotion. Oh, so I'm struggling to
Like
find a
you
balance,
smell like I could make a soup out of you.
right? Like, he's licking me.
No, just try like I mean try your best, but like, like it's so hard to get away from in my opinion, it's just like fuck it. Find a balance for everything. Like you said, just be balanced, enjoy your life.
The
Uh
happiness, stressed out, like, yeah.
yeah, don't be like that's the one thing. I commented on this um show that I listen to on or watch on YouTube. He's called the Happy Console Gamer because I love video games. I'm a gamer, huge gamer, right? And he's called the Happy Console Gamer, and he just hit 50 years old, and he's talking about how like I'll never stop playing video games. When I was 40, I did a video like this too. I'm like a gamer at 40 years old, and now he's doing a gamer at 50 years old. And I commented, I said, Johnny, you look fucking better now at 50 than you did at 40. And I bet you it's because you just stay young at heart. And it's true. If you're stress free, all that shit, you'll look young, you'll feel young. Stress is one of the main killers. But screw all the other stuff, like the chemicals and all that stuff. It's about being and staying young at heart.
Absolutely. Like, even walking the dog, I was walking the dog and I was just searching for nature. There's all like 4 apartment complex buildings. There's all these streetlights. There's all these car headlights. I'm just like, where nature? I gotta find the woods. So I found the woods, right? There's a golf course right next door. There's a little bit of woods between us and the golf course. And there's power lines. It's the power line trail. So like Ryan Alexander has this page, Transcendental, I don't know, the EMF cell phone tower page. And I was like, should I even bother walking here because of the high voltage lines? And I'm like, outweigh the good and the bad. I'm getting in nature, I'm getting light, and I'm being outside, so that's good. Who cares about the power lines? I mean, it's as good as it is, I guess.
You're honestly never going to get away from everything. So that's another thing. Like I said, being stress free is important because you you can't get away from everything, and You just gotta try to remain happy.
Yeah.
Keep talking because I'm pouring another beer, and yeah, I'm on mute for a second.
I had 3 raw eggs ready to go on camera, and I was really hungry, so I ended up eating them before the recording started. But there's this
Ate raw eggs.
yeah, I told you I'm getting into all the weird nutty health stuff. So the primal diet basically is to eat everything raw, like a whole food. And I didn't realize like everything that is cooked is processed. I didn't really realize that that's a processed food. But there's this really famous, I don't know if he was a wrestler or a boxer, Vince Gardenia, but he ate like 36 raw eggs a day. And it's not my goal because he was like a bodybuilder, right? Like that's not my goal. But um I'm just trying to eat as many as I can. Like I started with one, I'm up to 4 eggs a day now, but I would like to get more. Um, See, the thing with us is my husband is really sensitive to smells, so we can't cook in the house. Like it's a really big problem. Even if the fans are on, even if the windows are open, it's just it throws him into a panic attack. Like that's how bad the smells are. Yeah, I tried to roast sweet potatoes in the oven. I got them all done because I used to cook. I used to try to cook while he was sleeping. Like, oh, I could air out the house before he wakes up, right? And one time I roasted. I got a Hello Fresh delivered to the house, and I made the roasted sweet potatoes. They were all done cooking, and I was pulling them out of the oven, and I couldn't take a bite because it was too hot. Like it was burning the roof of my mouth. And my husband woke up from the stink and threw them all outside. I was like, I didn't even get a chance to taste one, because I'm trying to learn how to cook, right? Of course I love Kraft macaroni and cheese and ramen noodles, but that's processed food. What am I supposed to do? And
Yeah,
like, you can't cook it steak because that smells. So I was like, I just like Googled it and like, can you eat raw meat? And apparently you can, like, nobody in America is going to, right? But they even serve it at restaurants. Like they have steak tartare and beef carpaccio, and some
sure.
over here asked my grandpa, like, have you ever had beef carpaccio? And he's like, no. I'm like, well, I guess we're not really Italian, you know?
No,
But
listen. When it comes to eating raw meat, you have to be very careful with temperatures, I think, right?
like for bacteria wise,
Yeah, because I saw this guy on, I think it was like a THC thing, THC channel, where
oh, I
this
think I
guy,
know there's
there's
meat.
like people who do weird things or whatever, and he had
Yeah.
this whole shed where he keeps his raw meat, and he pulls out a steak, and he's got it at the perfect temperature, and he's just eating a raw steak. That's what he does. He eats
Well, they
raw meat.
must
That's
have
all he
weird
eats.
ingredients. So I found raw meat experiment on Instagram, and then the real natural human diet on Instagram. And basically you can eat it at any temperature. Agenus claims not to eat it frozen because, like, how do you explain it? Like if
Yeah, but you have to have it like unfrozen, but you can't leave it out for too long before you eat it, right?
you could say yes, but there's this other side. There's high meat where even like the Inuit, they bury the food and then it ferments for months. And it's
Okay,
called high meat. It literally makes you high. There's so much bacteria and stuff in it. But we're looking at bacteria as good, like germs are friends, right? Like you already have E. coli in your body, you already have salmonella in your body. Um, so I don't really know. I guess temperature, if it was too hot, it'd be cooking it, right?
yeah, for
I'm
sure.
not
Yeah.
sure. I'm not an expert. I'm learning.
But
But
like you can't leave your food out for too long, even if it is cooked,
yes,
because like
because
the bacteria is gonna get at it and it's gonna fuck you up, right?
yes,
Yeah.
especially cooked. Now, they say raw milk never goes bad. It just changes, right? It ferments. It changes. It becomes cheese or sour cream or whey, same with raw meat. It doesn't spoil. It just changes. So I did experiment with making high meat, and I put a little bit of sirloin in a jar, and then you're supposed to let it air out like for an hour every couple of days, and it stinks really bad. Like it is gonna reek. So of course I couldn't do it in the house. I had to do it outside, and it was summer. And by the time I got back to it, Dave, all there was only maggots in it. Like all the
Oh,
gone. Like all I had was I was like, "Where'd my meat go? You maggots ate my meat."
holy shit, eh?
There's, there's this one Instagrammer called InstaFrank97. He actually will eat the maggots.
Whoa.
I haven't gotten that brave yet.
No, thank you.
I haven't gotten that brave yet. But he'll put like meat in a backpack and leave it in the woods for a little bit and then go back to it, you know? Oh,
Maggots freak me the fuck out.
yeah. Oh man,
Seriously.
it's bad.
Like,
But I'm
no
trying to
thanks.
get over like apparently if you have like 100 raw eggs, you get used to the taste, right? If you do it over and over, you get used to the taste, your taste buds change. I'm no longer supposedly going to be craving the Doritos. I want to crave the raw meat.
Hmm.
But I've had like 5 dozen eggs already. I'm well over 100 eggs, and I still don't like the taste. Like it's disgusting. Like it's really
Oh,
hard to get used to it. I don't
yeah.
know how Bruce Lee and that Vincent guy did it, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about eating raw
I
eggs,
told
but
Sean if I can't cook in the house, then I'm gonna have to eat raw. And because he
yeah.
doesn't, he's worried about me getting sick and going to the hospital, right? I'm like, well, then I'm gonna have to cook. Take your poison.
What is, if you don't mind me asking, what is your husband's condition?
Um, it gradually gets worse over the years. He got sick in 2001, like after 9/11. So chronic panic disorder, anxiety, and then everything is like from that. Like he developed scoliosis by being in the fetal position for years. Being
Wow.
on the floor, like he never had scoliosis before. And then the irritable bowel syndrome, the degenerative disc disease, like everything just keeps piling up. The sensitive to smells, the sensitive to noise.
Is
It's
he
just
is he wheelchair bound or no?
no, not yet. No.
Oh, okay. Don't say
He
not
did
yet,
get a
because no, he
right. I
won't be.
didn't mean to press something together. He will not be. Thank you.
There you
I'm
go.
learning how to do those automatic negative thoughts, trying to. Oh, there's so much to learn, Dave.
Is he on a lot of medicine or
Yeah.
sucks?
Even
Does he
those
smoke weed?
statins. Yes. We quit cigarettes March 15, 2020, and he just switched from smoking to vaping to try
Oh,
because
okay.
like the smoking is so painful for his throat
Yeah,
and like
yeah, yeah.
lungs, but he still coughs with the vaping, so I'm not quite too sure if that's really healthier or
I
just
honestly, when
boredom.
I vaped marijuana, I choked like a motherfucker. I would recommend a tincture.
Like where you rub it, the tincture.
No,
Okay.
I take THC oil. I'll send you a picture after this. It's THC
Oh, like
oil.
for the mouth.
Yeah, you just put it. You put the syringe in the top of the bottle. You take the exact amount you want, and then you just squirt it under your tongue and leave it there for about a minute, and swallow it.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay.
Yeah, and it takes a bit to kick in, but like an edible. But yeah, it will fuck you up nice and make you feel good. And you
Yeah,
don't
he
have to
has
smoke
that
it.
medical marijuana card, and then this year in Ohio, weed went legal recreational. So we're gonna figure that out.
Okay, yeah, up here in Canada, it's legal all over the place, right? So,
Even just like recreationally?
yep.
Awesome.
There's a
Cool.
there's a place right down below my building. It's called Value Buds, and it looks like the dollar store logo and everything. It's like
Oh,
the
no way.
dollar store for weed, right? So you just go there and buy anything. You can buy soda that has THC in it. You can buy pre-rolled joints, the tincture that I buy. You can buy vapes,
He
everything.
likes the indica, because the sativa sometimes gives them the panic attack.
Yeah, because sativa is the one that cranks up your brain. It's like woo, right? Whereas
Yeah,
indica is more like relaxed, right?
right, right. So I even have stuff to like make like canna butter. Like I have like shake. but I'm not quite too sure how. Like some people say you got to heat up the shake in the oven before you add it to the butter, and I don't know. It's something so
See,
simple. It seems like I can't figure it out.
this is why I like the tincture, because I can take the exact amount and I know that I'm going to be comfortable. It's not going to be any higher than I want or any lower than I want. But
Oh, good.
when you first start taking it, you got to experiment with it. So, like,
Like
if
the
you get
dough.
too fucked up, then take a little bit less next time, right?
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, because I find that if I take an edible and it's so unpredictable and inconsistent that it's like, oh my god, I'm way too fucked, right?
That's exactly what you need, that dose. Perfect. Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
I recommend it to a lot of people that I talk to. I'm like, yeah, I don't smoke weed anymore. I just take the fucking oil, and they're like, what do you mean oil? I'm like, you put it in a syringe, you drop it under your tongue, and you're good to go.
I
Like,
was
oh,
thinking the tincture was like a topical. You know how they're like topical? Rub it
yeah,
on
you
your
have that
skin.
too. Yeah, you could do
So I
that.
don't know why my brain went there. But I
No,
tried. I would rub his feet at night for about an hour just to try to help him go to sleep. Cause
right.
I don't know if it's sleep apnea or whatnot, but he'll like wake up in a panic attack. Like when he's just about to fall asleep. So I used to get the CBD oil and like rub that on his feet, and we never noticed anything, no matter how much money I
Oh,
spent.
one thing I also tried lately that one of my listeners told me about, and it works like magic. Magnesium oil. You rub it on your feet before you go to bed.
Oh, I'll try that.
Because
Magnesium oil.
that's another thing that we're lacking in our diets is magnesium, and that will it really helps you get a better night's sleep.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
trying to sneak in some raw eggs in his milkshakes, but he busted me. I did it for like a month straight, and then one time he walked in the kitchen and he heard the egg shell. I was trying to run the water when I broke the egg, so they couldn't hear it. I'm
That's
like, I'm
funny.
gonna get protein somehow. Because like he'll eat beefaronis, Lunchable, like
All the
this isn't
processed food.
food. Yeah, like we're not even getting
I
nutrition.
can't. I never could do Lunchables. It always tasted like plastic to me.
They do. They're horrible. And it's not like he enjoys it. He just
Just scarfs
doesn't
it
know
down.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
he was
he
never a
doesn't.
person who ate for enjoyment. He only ate to survive. Like I
Right.
was like, how do you not love the taste of food? Like I love all food. All I think about is breakfast, lunch, dinner. And he just ate to survive.
Yeah. That's another thing too is portions. Like I've been told that we shouldn't be eating any more than the size of our fist,
Okay.
right? For each portion. And I have a
Okay.
friend that I work with and he eats one meal a day. I
Wow.
couldn't do that, but it works for him, right?
Yeah. That sounds like my husband. He just eats once a day.
Oh, that's it.
Oh,
Well, that's good. I mean, I think that's okay. I don't think. I think we've been pushed too much to eat too much, right? Like 3 meals a day and have all four food groups and this and that. It's like, dude, you don't really need that much food to fucking survive. You know what I mean? To keep your body running, and especially if you're not moving around, right? Like for me, my job, I'm moving a lot. Like I could eat a meal and then I'll go to work, and then 4 hours later, I'm fucking starving because I burned so much energy, right?
no.
So
Yeah.
it depends on how much you move too, right?
Have you ever heard of BJ's, or is that just like in America? It's kind of like a
BJ's,
Costco, but
yeah,
it's
I've
like a
heard of that.
competitor. Okay. So I used to work in their deli department, and you know how big the delis are, like how tall the counters are? You
Yeah,
could only see my forehead. Couldn't even see my eyeballs.
but you're
Oh, you
four
might
eight.
not know it's 8. Okay, so that's a conversion, 56 inches. So I'd be like, yeah, I'm here. And how embarrassing, huh? That was I never wanted to keep any of the customers waiting. Okay. And so I would try and get through them, right? Try and get through them. And a lot of times you'd be working alone, like closing, and I had to go to the bathroom so bad. and I was like dancing and holding, and so embarrassed. I peed my pants at work. And I call my husband crying, and I'm like, "You have to bring me pants." He's like, "Well, you have to be an adult and suck it up because you're the one who peed." Because he had no car, it's not like he could drive to come get me a pair of pants, you know.
Right.
And so I felt like such a, I don't know, immature, not an adult, not ready for this real world.
That's funny.
19 years old, working behind the deli. So I ended up tying my hoodie around my waist to get out of work that day. And he was like, "Why don't you just tell the customer to hold on? You'll be right back." How hard is that?
I used to love working at I used to work at this grocery store called Starsky. And it's basically like a predominantly European customer base and mainly Polish, but there's a lot of Polish people, Europeans, right? And I worked in the cheese department and they had like over 700 different kinds of cheese. And we were as employees working there, we were encouraged to sample everything eventually so that we knew the flavor and were able to, explain the flavors to the customers, right? And I was the only white male working in the department. It was all like European women, and I got along with all of them. I had my beef with a couple of them, but that got sorted out. But it was so funny because there was one lady, she was way older than me. She was like in her early 50s, and I was like early 30s at the time. And she was gorgeous, a gorgeous Cuban lady. And I went up to her one day and I said, "Hola, preciosa," right? Like, hello, beautiful in Spanish, right? She's like, "Oh my," right? And ever since then, we were like flirting with each other every day, right? It's hilarious. But one day, like, I had all these women, these Polish women, and they'd always ask for me specifically to serve them. It was hilarious. And some of them were like fucking beyond gorgeous, right? But this girl, the older lady, she worked in the deli while I worked in the cheese, but they were like right next to each other. And it was so funny. She was oiling like a salami. She was putting oil on it to like preserve it. And she's like, "Oh, Dave." And I'm like serving a customer, right? And I look back and she's literally doing this, like jerking it off, eh? And I'm like, "Don't do that right now. I'm trying to serve a customer."
Be professional, trying to be professional.
Oh my God, it was crazy. Being the only guy that worked in like any of those two areas was insane because I was getting hit on like all the time by the customers and the girls working with me. It was so much fun. I missed that job, but the pay was
That's
shit.
no. Yeah. Is Costco a union? Is that why it's high? Do you think?
Costco does not have a union, but apparently I saw this article yesterday where I guess they thought the management was so shitty that they started their own union and they succeeded.
Oh.
Yeah, and that was down in West Virginia.
Hmm.
And I shared that with my group chat with my coworkers, and they were like, "Holy shit, that's wild." I'm like, "Yeah, don't get any ideas."
I worked in a lot of different factories. Cinta's like a clothing uniform company. We'll wash like mats and uniforms and stuff. And then circuit board company. Got to learn about circuit boards, and they do McDonald's fryer circuit boards and like
Wow.
the military plane circuit boards. And then I went to medical factory, and we made like plastic one-time use only like endoscopes and injection needles. And so I love factories. I love seeing how it's made and all that. So when
Cool.
I started working from home, I really I don't know if it's lonely or left out or whatever, but it was I had to adapt, you know.
Yeah. I like getting out there and like, cause honestly, being older, like a 44-year-old man now, I've lost a lot of friends because they're doing their own thing. They got their families, this and that. So my only
Yeah.
socialization is at work and doing my podcast now, or gaming online because I have a lot of friends in the US that I play with, and I've been playing with them for like years. And it's so much fun to come home and just chill, have a few beers, and play games with them, right? So now I'm gonna start
Yeah.
streaming. So I'm gonna start streaming. I just bought a mic for my PS5. So I'm gonna do that too, and whatever, it's just fun. I mean,
Don't hate. I still got a PS3.
oh really?
We
I
don't
had
use it much.
PS I had a PS4 for a long time, and now that I got a PS5, I was like, holy shit, it's like incredible how fast it is.
Wow.
Even streaming on the PS4, when you hit the share button to start streaming, takes like half an hour for the menu to come up.
Oh, wow.
But the PS5, it's like instant. Boom, boom, you're streaming. It's wild.
Now, me and my husband are 8 years apart. He was born in 80. I was born in 88. And so I met him at 17, turning 18. Like that September, that I was turning 18. And my parents, like I asked my parents on my 18th birthday, can I have a boyfriend? And they said no. And my dad said no, not under this roof. So I left their roof. I moved in with Sean on my 18th birthday.
Wow.
And then we got married. So we basically got to know each other as we lived together, right? And then we
Right.
got married later at Squire's Castle. It was pretty.
There you go. My parents
Well, his
are.
generation, he's like what? Are you Gen X? If it's 1980?
I'm Gen X. Yeah. I was born in '79.
Okay. And we don't have
My
any kids. I definitely wanted kids, but I got pregnant in 2008, and they actually said that my baby was, um, my body was treating my baby like a bacteria, like the fetus as a bacteria, and it was attacking it. So our blood types didn't match. Now, I don't know if that's because like me and Sean have different blood types, or just my blood type was different than the baby's blood type, but what it's called is RH negative.
Okay.
And they said that it was too dangerous. It's dangerous for my life to have the baby, dangerous for the baby. And I ended up having an abortion, and I have regretted it every single
Shit.
day. Now, Sean thinks like it was meant to be, right? Like God didn't want me to have children. We got enough problems. I'm taking care of you. I got my temper tantrums. It wasn't a healthy environment to bring up a child. But I still like tried to figure out when the birthday would be, when like so I can have a date. I made a boy name and a girl name. I just like still going through that grieving process. I still have the ultrasound.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
just that motherly instinct is still there. So I really love our dog. I'm like, we got a son. I'm the
Yeah.
dog
Yeah.
mom now.
So you have RH negative?
Yeah.
It's funny.
Now the hospital didn't
Uh,
like tell me that, but I learned it like through Google. Trying to figure
right.
the baby situation.
I don't know what my blood type is, honestly. But I do hear a lot of truth seekers have RH negative blood.
Is it more than just women? Is that a man thing too?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought maybe it was a woman baby thing. Okay.
No, I think it's
Well,
everybody. Like both sexes.
and as many times as I get blood drawn or something, they never tell you what your blood type is. And I've asked my husband's doctors, do you think I'm like A or AB or O, or it's just RH negative?
No, it's either A, B, A positive or whatever, or RH negative. It's its own
Okay.
blood type. Yeah.
Oh, because I
Yeah.
even worked at, I was scheduling people to get blood donations. I even did that working from home, signing people up to give blood.
I seriously want to find out what my blood type is. I don't know how to figure it out.
my dad's like, go get a blood test. I'm like, yeah, but they don't tell you anyway. So when
Yeah,
I
that's
figured
the
that out,
thing. Yeah,
maybe
that's the
it's something you
thing.
could do, like the Ancestry or 23andMe. Maybe we could send away for our blood types.
Apparently, you shouldn't do that because they collect your data, your DNA data. I
That's
don't
why I
know.
haven't pulled the string yet. But I would like to know where I was from one day. But I'm not sure.
Have you
I did it
seen
for the dog.
Have you seen the movie Old Dads yet?
No. Old dads?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Write it down.
You know the comedian Bill Burr?
Yes.
Yeah, he stars in it.
Okay.
It's hilarious. But there's a scene in it where he's talking about because he's sitting there with like as a dad and in his parent teacher community, he's talking with all the parents and they're trying to figure out like a party to throw for all the parents, right? And he's like, how about we have like an old like 80s theme or whatever? And they're like, you're the only one from the 80s or whatever, right? And he's like, yeah, but like, and he's talking about how he said something, I forget what it was, but the one guy was offended because he had uh like Negro in his blood in his ancestry in his DNA. He's like, I'm offended because I have a Negro in my blood type or my ancestry, right? He's like, yeah, but you're white.
Why would you be
It's just this
offended?
hilarious
I gotta
situation.
watch it.
It's so funny.
So the reason why I didn't even I don't have the money to pay for the ancestry, but also I did learn about the DNA. They keep your information, whatever. Um, but my somewhere down the line, my dad's family kept a whole bunch of papers and records. So I was reading through all those documents. It's like printed out, And I'm actually from my third grade. My third great grandfather like was incest. It was my third great grandfather married his first cousin.
Oh
And I'm like,
shit.
oh, that's why I'm so weird. I made an incest.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, it was a lot to learn. I was like, why did they do
That's
that?
wild. That's
But
some fucking
is that far back
Jerry
enough? At three
that's some
greats, was
Jerry
that
Lee
far enough?
Lewis stuff there.
It would
You know
affect my
about
health.
Jerry Lee
Yeah,
Lewis,
at
right?
any generation. Yeah,
Yeah. Married his cousin. To each their own.
right. They must have been in love.
Hey man,
And then
like if you love someone, you love someone, right?
and I love the Oregon Trail and learning about that. I was watching Yellowstone in 1923 and 1883 and all those shows. And then this Instagrammer, Cultivate Elevate, his page keeps getting banned and blocked, because he's sharing about everything, the old world. And he was sharing like the eh, architecture, like San Francisco and stuff. Like it wasn't even horse and buggy. They were just very, very smart and knowledgeable and able to build these magnificent buildings with copper and bells and everything. So I'm like trying to understand the old world history as well.
That's
Have you
another
read
thing
that?
too. Yeah. If you want to look into my friend's podcast, the Great Deception podcast,
Okay.
that's basically all he talks about. He researches the shit out of that. So you might want to
Yeah,
get
and the
into
only
that.
episode I watched was Ryan was on their show, Ryan
Yeah,
Alexander,
yeah. Master
and
debaters,
I
yeah.
watched that episode.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll have to watch
Also,
them more.
since you're into the Mormon church, you might want to check out my other friend Heidi Love, who does the Unfiltered Rise podcast.
Okay.
She broke free from the Mormon church. I had her on once. Yeah, it's just this whole community is all, you know, it's beautiful because
Beautiful.
we all learn from each other, right? So, and I'm sure somebody would want to get you on too, you know? once they hear this episode, it'll go out and they might want to hear from you, right?
The awkward pauses are weird, right? And I'm like, what else should I talk about? Should I say something? So I think it'll become more relaxed, maybe.
Yeah, that
It
happens. Yeah.
doesn't feel like a conversation. So that's
Yeah. Where are we at now?
2 hours.
Almost 2 hours. Yeah. So I'm gonna wrap it up here, but tell the audience where they can find you once more.
You can find me at farmfresh_USA. I also have another Instagram page. It's more diet with Cleveland.primal. And my Linktree is Linktree/true1 Alicia. True TRUE1 Alicia ALICIA. And I'm trying to take a social media break, but I keep feeling like I'm gonna miss out on stuff. So it hasn't happened yet. But
Yeah,
I would like
I
to
I
take
rarely I rarely do social media breaks because I'm always there.
right? So I'm trying to maybe limit myself. Like, what if we just did an hour a day?
Yeah, yeah. I'm like always
It's
looking
like
over at
really
my phone. Even if I'm playing a video game, I look over at my phone. Oh, there's another message. Pause the game. Okay, check my messages.
Do you go by Dave or you like Davey? I see Davey Wavy.
On here it's Davey. You can say Dave, David. It's all good.
But thank you so much for inviting me. It's been
Yeah,
great getting
thanks
to
for
know
coming
you.
on. It was a great conversation. And you're new to the game, so good luck on your journey. And
Thank you.
God bless you and all the best.
Absolutely. You have a good night.
You too. Thanks. Bye.